Finally, StreamYard is really doing my nothing now. It takes ages for these trailers to play, and then sometimes they play twice. That's why I look like an idiot when I'm just staring at the camera. But welcome to the Noel Zone. Of course, we're here, not on our own. We two amazing co-hosts with me, and I just want to actually thank everybody that tuned in last week. We had over 500 viewers. I haven't had 500 viewers for a video in a while. Things are that bad, but it was nice to see. And it showed me that obviously the two co-hosts are obviously very popular on this channel. So it's great to see them here again with me this week. So without further ado, let us introduce our co-hosts for this evening, and you know them very well. It's the one we've got royalty as usual. It's the one and only Queen Charlotte.
Hello, everybody.
Whenever StreamYard decides to bring her on.
Can you hear me and see me now?
Yeah, slow for me, but when it's on YouTube, you actually come on straight away. It's weird, but there you go. There's Queen Charlotte, and of course, we wouldn't be doing this stream if we didn't. Well, it wouldn't be the same if we didn't have our next guest. It's the one and only PD Rich.
Hey,
hello, PD.
He's gone back to his original name, PD Rich, the company man.
What,
so welcome. We got.
Do you want me to change it?
No.
You sure? I can do it if you want.
No. It's all good. It's all good. We got 6 people. It keeps jumping from 8 to 6 people. So maybe in reality there's only like 4 people watching or something like this. But do us a favor, big thumbs up for the video or the stream, obviously, because it helps. And of course, don't forget to share. That's the most important. I need you guys more than ever, so if you could share, I really do appreciate it. Obviously, now that we don't cover Doctor Who, it's a lot harder to get people to watch, to be quite honest with you. They'd rather hear me moan and rant about Doctor Who, but I'd rather not moan and rant about something that I actually love. I'm sick and tired of it, so there you go. But anyway, what have we got this week? Well, there has been some things going on. More the writer's strike, of course. Now some of these writers are having to sell their homes because, they went on strike. Again, as I said, I've absolutely no sympathy.
No,
I really don't. The AI thing, yes, I think we should be concerned about that part of it. Whereas for the other stuff, better pay and conditions,
No, sorry, sorry to interrupt, mate. You know why Disney are getting AI in? Because their writers are so thick and stupid, they have to get the AI in to make them look smart.
or it's more likely the AI is actually going to write better received, better viewed programs.
That's. I think that is the main. I really do. I think that is the main issue here. I don't think it is to do with better pay and conditions. I think they know that AI is going to show them up for what they are, which is a bunch of hacks. Listen, Hollywood is in the position that it's in because you writers that are on strike now, that all these actors are supporting, right? Which I don't get, by the way, because they've been the ones that have been writing shit for you to do on screen. I suppose you take the paycheck no matter if the script is shit or not. You are going to continue to get work. But the bottom line is you shouldn't be supporting these people. And some actors have actually come out against it. For one, the actor from that was in the Green Arrow universe, the lead actor, he came out and said they're pointless. A couple of other actors and actresses have also spoke up. So the tide is changing. But the thing about it is I find it all cheeky in the first place. As I said, in about 10 years, and this is just being generous, in about 10 years, for 10 years, I should say, you have been writing nothing but absolute bullshit. You are in the position you are in now because for the last 10 years, you have decided for some weird reason that a small minority of the whole population of the world must be the target audience. or must be the focus, I should say.
Yeah.
Right? And that led to all sorts of nonsense going on with well-established franchises. This is why you are in the position you are in. Now you want us to feel sorry for you. For the first time in 10 years, you aren't
Did they feel
writing
sorry
shit.
for us?
You aren't, all old shows are being rerun. Great shows back in the day are being rerun. And people now are realising that they're not actually missing much with you guys gone. Right? And we're not. Nobody's missing out with you guys gone. In that, and I would say TV is much better since you guys have went on strike.
Yeah.
I don't care if you lose your homes. Right? I really don't. I'm not feeling sorry for you. Right? Because as a customer, and by the way, let me just point out that a couple of these writers that are on strike are on X, and they put up their video and they've made a big comment because they obviously have X Blue, even though they give out about X. But anyway, one of them was bitching them on this why it's important, and then I just went in and I just replied like everybody else, hundreds of other replies, most of them in support, I will say. And I went in and I says, well, do you know what? I feel sorry for you. Do you know what? I would actually feel sorry for you if for the last 10 years he's actually wrote something decent. And this was one of the writers on She-Hulk, by the way. So I was like, well, if you had wrote something decent, I feel sorry for you, but all you've done is wrote shit. And guess what happened? Guess what always happens? I got blocked. Because these people don't want to hear the truth. The truth of the matter is, I'd feel sorry for you and I'd support you right now. Right? Even if he's hadn't wrote great stuff, he's hadn't come out and called me a bigot, right-wing extreme, homophobe, whatever other label you put on me, I'd support you. I would actually support you, because then I'd say, do you know what? Maybe it is where they're working, they can't get their creative juices flowing. And maybe there is, you know, something there that's stopping these young writers from becoming the writers that they think they are, right? But no, that's not the case. The bottom line is they've promoted a load of shit, right, through the ranks. And unfortunately, you know what happens with shit in water?
Yeah, crumbles.
Rises to the
The
surface.
problem is they've had too much creative control. They've not had their bosses, whether that's an editor, whether that's the showrunner, you pick whatever higher position you've got in your show or movie. Because the writers haven't had no quality control.
Yeah.
They've had nobody to actually say, no, we need to do this again. We need to go through this again. You need another version. And they've been given too much control, and you can see that. That's why so many projects have just spiraled, because
I'm going to cover this on Friday, but I'll get you two guys to give me an opinion on this. I'll keep my opinion for the member stream, because this is going to be the focus of the member stream on Friday. So there's 2 members in the chat right now. This will be the topic for the member stream, and you need to tune into this, because this is why Disney is done, right? So this is what they're doing, and this is no effing lie. So as you know, they've done the famous animation movie The Lion King. Then the people at Disney decided that, well, you know, we're doing these live actions. Let's do a live action of The Lion King. Now, in fairness, apparently the live action of The Lion King is not as bad as some of the other live actions that they've done. But here's the new one. Disney has decided that the live action movie deserves an animated remake. So this is what Disney is doing. Disney did an animated version of The Lion King. They did a live action version of it. Now that live action version is going to get a remake as an animated version.
So what
right?
is
And
this?
Disney,
No, is this traditional animation they're going to do again then, or is it computer?
Yeah,
like
no,
Pixar
traditional animation. It's going to be basically a remake of the live action version of The Lion King. So they're doing an animated version of the live action version that was already an animation. Right? So this is why Disney is bust. because they've done an animation, did a live action version. Now that live action version is going to be remade into an animation. But we already have the original animation. So please, someone in the chat, make this make sense to me, or why Bob Iger or whoever agreed to this thinks this is a good idea. This is why your company is being flushed down the toilet. You lazy pieces of shit. That's what it is. You're lazy.
No, but there's another. I've got another like cynical theory here, and that's because a lot of the live action ones of late have been falling flat because people have been able to look back at those original animated movies and gone, look, that's better. That's more better done. That's got better writers. It's got better everything, those animated classics. And that's what has sort of started to become the criticism now of the live action stuff. So if they can make a new animated version, then people
can make the changes. They can actually make the changes as well to certain characters that may have been problematic back in the day as well.
Yeah, there's probably that as well. But I'm saying, think about it. If they can replace those animated classics now, then they won't, people in their heads, might be solving an issue of, people won't compare it to the Renaissance movies that they love because we'll have the new animated version.
Nah, The Lion King, look, I don't care what anybody says, right? I didn't like the idea of a live action version either. The Lion King, for me, is up there as one of the greatest animations ever made. Seriously, the sequel was shite. But the first movie... I
like the sequel.
I mean, yeah, it's not as good as the first one, but the sequel is decent enough. But, I mean, the first one is just... That set the bar for modern Disney animated movies, in my opinion. That was a pop culture icon, right? Then they decided, okay, pop culture icon. What can we do to jazz it up a bit? Let's do a live action version. Now it's like, okay, we've done that now. So what can we do with it? Instead of making a sequel to the live action, which I wouldn't personally watch, but there might be an audience out there for it. They've decided to go down the animated route again. It's just pure laziness. And fair enough. There's apparently the old Disney animations, there's some of the Disney writers and the creators behind it were a bit dirty, and there's a couple of dirty words in the original Disney animated one. Now in the updated versions they kind of got rid of it. It doesn't spell sex anymore, but the Cloud did spell sex back in the day. There's all subliminal messaging going on in Disney movies, right? Maybe that's another reason why they want to kind of redo them. But look, at the end of the day, this is not going to work. You're not going to sell this to people. People are not going to be conned. I mean, if people go and watch that version of The Lion King, then we're done as a society. I'm serious, because then it actually means that they could cheat the... It's like, do you know what it's like for me? It's like all of these alcohol places selling zero alcohol beer, zero alcohol spirits, right? It's a con job.
Yeah.
It's a con. It's like literally a con. Like, you know what I mean? And everybody's bought into it. It'll be the same with this, man.
I don't think people will. I think Disney's name is dirt now. I think it's utterly dirt. And like you said, people will be going, hang on a minute, I've already got an animated version. I don't need a new one.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing that Disney, which is also of their own doing, which is why this won't work. They've spent how many decades banking off that original animated classic, re-releasing it, using those versions in all their TV shows, like the cartoon stuff they do for kids. It's all based on the animated classic. So they built that up. They've made that a touchstone, like you were talking about. They can't redo their own touchstone when they've made it such a cultural thing in the first place.
There's something does need to be done with cinema. I do agree with you, the work. I mean, but what at this stage? I mean, you got smaller studios that are making decent movies, but the the bottom line is unfortunately when they do make a decent movie or two, the bigger studios come sniffing around and then absorb them. So then that way there's a lot of monopolies in Hollywood. See, that's the thing. You know, a lot of the independent studios can't survive on their own. Do you ever notice now when you watch a movie, you see that like there's about 16 or something different independent studios before you see the movie, all the different in association with and all the different studios. That's what I mean. They have to do that to even fund the movie. And then what happens is they actually do, as I said, make decent movies. They get absorbed by the bigger companies. So there's no, you know, that's why the streaming wars and the streaming thing everybody thought would actually reinvent Hollywood, because if the streaming platforms then start making movies of their own, you know, but let's be honest, yeah, some of the streaming platforms have made decent movies, but overall, and their own TV shows, but overall, let's be honest, it's just as dirt as what Hollywood's producing. So, you know, if there's just a studio out there or a streaming platform that's just brave enough to just make quality entertainment and forget about all the other bullshit that's going on and just entertain people, I think that company, if there's one out there, that studio would be the one, in my opinion, that people would gravitate to. I mean, as I said, you know, I watched the A-Team the other day, the movie. Never watched it, wasn't expecting much. But to me shame, I never watched it, and I have to say it was the best bit of fun that I've had. It is a good movie. It's a good fun movie. It's what it's what I expected from an A-Team movie.
Exactly.
Seriously, that's what it was. It was everything I expected an A-Team movie to be.
The thing is, Noel, when it came out, everyone was going, call all this. And when I saw it, I actually quite enjoyed that.
No, it is. I think if you watch it now, though.
I think it is. Yeah.
Listen, watch it now, right? I say to people now, if you hate that movie back in the day, right, just watch it now, right? Compared to what you've watched and been, watch it right now. Watch it. Even the clever way that they changed certain characters to make it fit within the movie. Absolutely brilliant.
Liam Neeson in that film. He was brilliant. Liam Neeson.
He's brilliant. But your guy that plays Murdoch is just that's an African actor. What's his name?
My name's Percy. We'd like some pork.
Brilliant. And face at the start, obviously Bradley Cooper. I mean, that scene is hilarious. He's wrapped up in a load of toys and he's at the banging your man's wife and he's cracking fucking jokes. He's about to get killed, like he's about to be lit alive and he's cracking jokes. And I'm like, that's face. Like, but look, it mightn't have been everybody's cup of tea back in the day, but if you watch it now, I think there is a nostalgic feel about it. I really did. And look at straight after the movie, what did I do? Go and watch the A-Team. I actually went and watched the TV show then. And you know, watching the characters and then watching the way they were portrayed in the book, every single actor that got the role, right, played each character, nailed it on the head. And the movie was fun, you know, about some missing, you know, plates so they could print their own money.
Yeah.
And the A-Team went in to try get it, and then they find out it's a bit of a setup and all of this, and it's brilliant. They get framed, and it's brilliant, man. It sets it up, and then I was thinking, maybe it needs a sequel, but then I can understand why it doesn't get a sequel, because then it does the whole intro of the A-Team, you know, Soldiers of Fortune and all of this. But I still would have loved to see at least 2 more movies, you know, and I would have been happy. That would have been a nice little trilogy. Disney are twats, says Daniel. He puts in, obviously, he put in the old
well done,
so
Daniel.
he doesn't get into trouble, and he doesn't get us into trouble. So I appreciate that, buddy.
Cool.
Walked eyebrow. Sorry, guys, the chat just dropped there. There we go. Where's the comment? There, you know, I am half Egyptian, and Egyptian cinema used to be very good, but now everything is just copying Hollywood, and Egyptian cinema has become bland and uninventive. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. That's why I still like Irish and British movies, though, because yes, you do have your big blockbuster versions, right, like Americans, but we also do a lot of, you know,
Smaller.
gritty, and smaller movies. And I have to say, some of the best movies I've ever watched are British and Irish movies, and the lower budget ones. There's even a horror one that I watched years ago. I mean, it's in 1990s. It'd be a bad copy now if you were to get it. But it was about zombie cows. It was a horror, Irish horror with zombie cows. I think it was called Dead Meat or something, right? It's the most hilarious. Listen, it's so bad, it's funny, but funny in a good way, not in a bad way. I mean, this movie is just hilarious, right? Farmer going around with a shotgun and a shovel. I mean, biting off zombie cows. What would be more exhilarating? What else have we got? I think we got the Monopoly. Yeah, you just make shite movies in America now.
I think it's what you said, though. It's that lack of creativity. It's just everything's become watered down, or it's so full of politics that you can't see beyond it. It's like I watched on Saturday, I went to see Oppenheimer.
What was it like?
I really loved it. And it felt new, it felt different because it wasn't like, it was an historical one, which you don't get a lot still. The sort of certain big ones have made money, but they're not loads of them. So it was nice to have something a bit more purely historical and biopic in bits. And actually I quite like the fact that I didn't know a lot to do with the history going in, because I've never really looked at that type of American history so much. So it was interesting because I was learning, I felt a bit while I was watching it. But it
do you know what's funny?
What?
Grace Randolph says that this was Christopher Nolan's worst movie.
Oh, this is his best directing he's ever done.
Sorry, it keeps happening.
This is the best directing he's done, because you know why? He was allowed to experiment, and you can see that in the movie, and it works. It was like certain bits you can tell he just could do whatever he wanted. So there's whole chunks of this movie where it's black and white, and it's gorgeous just to see, obviously on the big screen, that format. You've also got bits where I'm trying to explain it now. It's like the scene will start normal, and then bits of it will warp almost into like weird stuff that obviously isn't happening. It's sort of a bit of like art, I say like art house almost fancy, but it's not the whole film. So it's actually quite nice to have these sort of warping random bits in the movie. The cast, oh God, this had such a good cast. I can never say his name.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
He
was so good.
Christopher Nolan reckons that is Cillian Murphy. Now, obviously, Christopher Nolan and Cillian Murphy have worked together before in the Batman franchise, so they've known each other. But even Christopher Nolan, he was said that the studio wanted him to get in a different actor, and he refused. He was like, "No, trust me, this is the role for him. This is the role that he has been born to play." He did it with Heath Ledger as well. Christopher Nolan gets these actors. Look, Cillian Murphy there's no shadow of a doubt that he is a great actor.
He's not Hollywood, though. That's what it is.
No, that's what it is. But Christopher Nolan has a habit of getting these obscure actors and taking them out, as to say, what is supposedly their comfort zone, and sticking them into something else, and then they just absolutely like blow you away. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. But I've heard good things about it.
What he did so well
ends with a bang.
What he did so well is you could see different bits of Oppenheimer's personality, but it's really subtly. Like you could see he was a bit self-destructive. You could see he got more moralistic when he got older. You could see the sort of that spark of wanting to find the scientific aspect of it. I will say this, best acting I've seen Robert Downey Jr. do in years. He plays a really good part in this, and it's so different to Tony Stark. It's night and day.
I think people like Tom Cruise. I think people have forgotten actually how good of an actor those two actors actually are. It's just over the years, like Tom Cruise with the Mission Impossible franchise, they haven't really showcased their acting. It's more, you know, fast paced and action packed and stuff. And it was the same with Robert Downey Jr. But if you look at some of Robert Downey Jr.'s older movies, like even Gothic, forgot the horror with Halle Berry in it, where she wakes up and she's in the mental hospital that she ran, and she doesn't realize what happened, and then she gets told that she actually murdered her husband, and then she escapes, and Robert Downey Jr. is the doctor in it. And look, he doesn't have a big major role, but it was the first major role that he got after he had just got out of prison, obviously, because he was sent down for his drugs and stuff like that. We do know Robert Downey Jr. was a bit of a hellraiser back in the day. But look, he is, seriously, even in Sherlock Holmes, those movies, like people will slag those movies off, but he plays a version of Sherlock Holmes I really like, and the way he does it, he's just brilliant in that movie. He is a great actor. People forget. Same with Tom Cruise. People say, "Oh, Tom Cruise not a great actor." Have you watched Rain Man? Have you watched Cocktail? Right? Have you watched A Few Good Men? This man, Tom Cruise, can fucking act. That's why he's the GOAT. He's just been doing this. As he's gotten older, he's just gotten more crazy with his stuff. He just wants to be a stuntman. And secretly, right, Tom Cruise wants to be a stuntman. So he gets to do what he wants. He's acting and then gets to do his stunts. That's what he wants to do. But people forget that those two actors are very good actors. So I'm glad Robert Downey Jr. got to showcase that again, because look, he'll always be remembered as Iron Man, unfortunately, but he's done so many good movies that it'd be a shame if he was just known for that, because he's such a terrific actor.
In this, his character's called Strauss, and he's so sort of, I think what's so brilliant what Downey does is he's so unassuming. Like, he's boring to look at. He's not like got any theatre or tricks to how he speaks. He's almost like business-like in every sense. And then, but the more you see him in the movie, the more you go, no, there's a bit of something underneath there. You can tell that he's hiding something personality-wise. He's just almost having this act. And I won't spoil it because I know you want to go and see it. But near the end of the movie, it just ramps up with his character. And then you see, oh, okay. And it's really clever. Emily Blunt is in this, who I adore.
Good.
She's a good actress anyway.
She's one of the love interests for Oppenheimer. And she's sort of, it's not so much of a stretch for her, the character. She's playing them once again a sort of tough sort of woman, as I sort of phrase it. But she can play that in her sleep, and it's really like, and that's what made me laugh. Like all the stuff about, he's horrible to women in this, all the sort of stuff that got lobbed. Yeah, he's a bit of a womanizer, but actually you can see each woman he's with, they actually give him, each woman he's with, they help him, they actually compliment him, and he actually learns a lot from them. So they actually...
Well, you know what they say, behind every great man, there's an equally great woman. And women do help shape men, whether men like to admit it.
Yeah, you can definitely see Oppenheimer, and this is shaped by them in some ways. I'm trying to think. You got, he was in the Bourne movies.
What's his name?
Oh,
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. He plays a good part in this. Like he's a military guy, and he sort of works with Oppenheimer while he's building the bomb. So that's what I mean. There's so many, like you sort of blink and you go, oh, you're in this. Oh, there's so many actors. Like, I'm not joking. Kenneth Branagh's in this, and it's a bit part. It's like, that's how stacked this cast is. And I think the thing that most impressed me was obviously it's Oppenheimer, the whole stuff with the atomic bomb and the morals and the fallout. And I really loved how this movie didn't judge him. It didn't come across as trying to vilify him in the slightest. It didn't shy away from what he wrought basically on the world. And there's this whole theme throughout the whole movie of consequence and how his act, which started off purely as a scientific thing, then became embroiled in politics, in moralistic arguments.
Yeah.
Because he didn't make it by himself. He had a whole team of scientists around him. And you could see in the movie, they all had different views. Whether they should drop it, what would happen after the fact.
They changed the course of human history, though. It did. It changed the course of human history.
And because it talks about how he was treated after the fact by the government and some of his peers, and how there's even a bit where he's in a committee for a chunk of the movie, and they're asking him questions and going over his life a bit. So the movie does sort of flick between different timelines a bit, and different. You sort of have to go, okay, now I'm in this part of his life. Then you go back to present. So it does sort of jump a bit. But there's a whole bit where they ask him basically like, why did you, which I didn't know, because I said I didn't know the history that well, that in the movie, Oppenheimer was one of the biggest voices against a hydrogen bomb, which obviously came after his atomic bomb, and it was very much almost portrayed as his workings were the beginning part, and then somebody else ran with it and did the other bomb.
Yeah.
And he became one of the biggest voice against it. And he even gets questioned at one point, like, why you, so it was all right for you to do your bomb, but somebody else, you're against it. And they actually ask him. And what I love is, without him having to give a major speech, there's a sequence that you get why he's against it. That's all I'll say. And it is directly touching upon what happened to Japan, what happened to the people, the long-term effects. But that's what's clever about it. It doesn't like have him go, oh, because it gives you like him doing a whole spiel. It's one scene. Yeah. And then it flips past it and you go, okay, now I get it. That's what I mean. This is clever. This actually, what we were talking about last week about, oh, audiences are too stupid.
Yeah.
This movie actually wants you to think. It wants you to put the pieces together by yourself. It doesn't directly give you a lot of answers.
So that's why Grace Randolph didn't get it, and
probably,
and she said she found it hard to follow because you have to use your brain, Grace. Yes. And unfortunately, love, you've got sawdust in there. You know, I mean, you thought the Barbie movie was great. That tells me everything. You thought the Super Mario movie was crap. It ended up making over $1 billion. Then when you were called out for that, then you kind of moved the goalposts a little bit. Yeah. You know, bottom line is, let's just admit it. You got fame somewhere. I don't know how you became prominent, but you're an idiot. You always will be, and you'll never understand a movie like this. I'm being honest. I say you're one of those people that have watched the Prestige movie, Christopher Nolan with Christian Bale, and are still trying to figure that movie out, still to this day, even though the explanation is at the end of the movie. It explains the whole trick, the whole point of the movie, showing you. But you didn't get that, I bet you, either, because that was too complicated for you. Listen, you stick to your Barbies, stick to your Teenage Mutant Mayhem Turtles, or whatever the fuck they're calling them now, which are big fat April O'Neil, right? And you report on all of those and leave the serious movies like Oppenheimer, right, to experts like Queen Charlotte, yourself, and PD Rich. All right. Anyway,
that's what it is. That's why I think some of the Hollywood reviewers came against this.
Yeah.
Because this is old-fashioned cinema.
Yeah,
exactly.
Good old-fashioned cinema.
There's no politics at all.
Well, it is political, but
not
it's
modern day.
Yeah, it's history. And the thing about it is, if you find history hard to follow or boring, then there's something wrong with you. Everybody should know a little bit of history. I mean, I'm from Ireland. I know a lot of world history, including the history of my own country, because that's the way we were taught in schools. I mean, you ask any American anything about anybody else's history, even their own history. We've seen the videos on TikTok. I mean, God help us all.
Good God, yeah.
Well, the way they do politics beyond the obvious stuff, and I'll give this because this isn't a spoiler, this is a little scene, but I thought it was so clever. It's he's made the bomb at this point, and he's in like one of these meetings with some sort of secretary or something general, and they're literally going through a list of places to drop it. That's what the scene's about.
Right.
And it's him with like some army people and some of his scientists. And this guy, and he's portrayed very stereotypical, that era politician in America. It's like very sort of just thinks about himself, full of himself, go America sort of type. And they're doing this scene, and he goes, "Oh, right, here's a list of 11 cities that we can pick." And before that, they're even debating, do we warn Japan beforehand? And you have this whole debate that some of them are saying, oh no, we shouldn't do that because if it doesn't work, we'll look stupid. And then some others saying, oh, but it won't be as effective on them psychologically. They know it's coming. We need to do the shock and awe tactic of dropping it. And then you have the people who are like, no, we can't drop this without any warning. We don't know what the repercussions are. We need to be a bit more moralistic here and actually tell them. So you have that debate, and then they eventually decide no, we're not going to tell them.
Right decision. Sorry, have to say, right, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor without warning, right? And then everybody is wondering.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if this is the way I look at it, if the Japanese cross that line first, then you know they dropped it, the war ended. That's all. You know, end of story. You know, change the course of the war. So end of story. Whether we could talk about the morals about it, we could talk about the after effect. You know, Oppenheimer would having to live with that anyway, and all the people that worked behind it. You know, they will meet their maker, and then they will be judged like us all. At the end of the day, you know, it was the way it was, and you know, the World War had killed millions of people. And the way the Americans would have looked at it is, well, what's another couple of 100,000 when we can end the war?
Yeah, and that's talked about. But then they're going through the list. And
the moral. Yeah,
and this is what I mean by clever writing as well. They're going through that debate, and he goes, right, we got these 11. He goes, oh, sorry, no, there's 10 on the list because, and he says, one's been crossed off because me and my wife honeymooned there, so it's not on the list. And then he carries on. And that's what I mean by clever writing. It's one bit of dialogue, but what's it showing about him?
Yeah,
it's all right for them to do it on all the other cities because he's not got any connection to it. But that one city, that's off the list. Yeah. So they get saved.
Yeah. But I have to say that studying Japanese martial arts, the Japanese were a warrior race, and they did not take prisoners. They did not like taking prisoners. They just execute everyone because they saw it as dishonorable. That's what they were like. They were terrible back then. They were a force to be reckoned with.
That's why when the Americans dropped that bomb, and remember,
they had to.
The bomb didn't actually go off exactly the way they wanted to. I was watching a documentary on it. This is why when you go to Hiroshima and where is it, Nagasaki? Was that where the other target was? Yeah. The fallout in those places is literally non-existent now. There's people, they're vibrant places to this day, because the bomb, I think how he explained it was it blew up in midair, like when it dropped just before it hit the ground.
It didn't hit ground.
It went it went off a little bit early, so that's why there wasn't the fallout. But
still,
here was the shocking thing. No, but here was the shocking thing about it. The pilots that dropped that didn't realize how powerful it was. They nearly got caught up. But when they dropped it, one of the pilots said, what the hell have we done?
Yeah.
Like, they were disgusted that they dropped this, and it was more powerful. That's the thing. And And here's the funny thing. All of the stuff didn't fuse together. It didn't fucking... that wasn't the whole explosion, by the way.
Half of it.
That explosion should have been a lot bigger. They didn't know what they were fucking with back then.
No.
They didn't know. Literally, they didn't know they were experimenting. When it went into fusion, all of the stuff didn't all mix together. So when the thing went off, it wasn't as powerful. Could you imagine if they actually had succeeded?
Yes,
that's what I mean. It didn't actually succeed. That was a failure, but it was the shockwave is what caused all the fucking damage. Watch it. It's the shockwave that causes all the damage.
Radiation.
Yeah.
Radiation
well, there was, as I said, there was limited radiation. There was actually limited radiation. This is why there's a difference between Chernobyl and there. Right? You go to Chernobyl, you can't stay in Chernobyl. You'll end up. Yeah, well, you can. If you're a YouTuber and you have enough cash, you can go around and do a tour. Trust me, I've seen the videos. You can't go into the
basement of the hospital because the clothes are still there. All the clothes for the firefighters are still there, and they're still highly radioactive. There's a few places you cannot go. Red Forest, you still can't go to parts of it, but you can go into the city of Pripyat a bit now.
See, the reason why that this is what I mean, because in preparation of watching Oppenheimer, I already know my history anyway, but I like to watch a lot of documentaries. And this was the documentary that I watched, and they explained it all. The bomb didn't actually do what it was supposed to do. That's why there was hardly any nuclear fallout. You go there today, it's absolutely fine. It's not like Chernobyl or places like Fukushima, when the fucking tsunami hit. It's like it's completely contaminated, that part of fucking Japan. That's
not
like
as contaminated as you think, but it is contaminated.
Oh, it's a lot more contaminated than you think. The Japanese have been covering up. Go and watch the fucking leaked videos. It's a lot worse than what they're saying. It's that they're actually getting into their tap water, their drinking water.
Oh God!
Right? Yeah. It's fucked. Do you know what they're doing with the soil? They're burying the soil. The radioactive soil. They're actually burying it. Right? There's loads of fucking fields in Japan that have all of this toxic waste. Right, that they've removed in barrels, just sitting there, covered. Seriously, the country is a lot worse than what's being reported. Right. The thing about it is that unfortunately, what's going to happen is the next tsunami is going to finish off that nuclear power plant, and there's going to be a nuclear explosion. It's done. The reactor is fucked.
One's melted down. I know that.
Yeah, one's melted down. The other one they can't get access to, right? And it's flooded. And the other one's flooded, right? And then look at what's happened in Chernobyl, right? We're fucked.
Yeah, melted down reactors aren't bad as long as they're contained.
And remember, the Ukrainians being gone around saying Russians are going to blow up nuclear power plants, which is code for we're going to do it, but we're going to blame the Russians. So there's going to be something big happening before the end of this year is out, because everything is geared towards it. Because if you notice, we're being distracted a lot lately with UFO leaks and all of this other stuff that's going on in our society. All distractions from the real thing that's going to come. We're fucked. But it doesn't matter.
No, but I think how well this movie's done, I think should be the massive sign to Hollywood that just go back to do an original-ish. Like I said, it's not. I say original-ish because obviously this is based on history, but it feels like almost a brand new original idea because of the way it's done. Go back to that. Go back to superheroes are dead. That's done and dusted. Good luck, DC. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
That's go to different types of movies now. Explore different types of movies, and just get these. Also, I think another reason why Oppenheimer's done so well, it's not part of something, it's not part 2, it's not part 3. It's a new one shot.
Well, look, there was only a part fucking 1. Because after that, then nobody, as soon as the atomic bomb, that's it, man. Even Einstein said it, was quoted as saying it was the worst thing that was ever invented ever created by humans, was that, because it led to so many different, and maybe not directly opened the door to other research, but it certainly did after that humans then wanted to see how far they could take it, and it blew up above ground. That's what I was trying to say. It blew up in midair, which means when it happened, there was no nuclear fallout because it didn't hit the ground. So if it had hit the ground, everything around would have been contaminated. But because it was up in the air when it blew, and it was actually the shock wave.
That's it.
That actually just flattened the city. Yeah, that's what flattened the city. That's what flattened it. So, but I agree with Charlotte. If they did more, look, I love me historicals, right? They're not always done exactly the way history portrays it. They always take political license to make it a bit more exciting. But I do feel with Christopher Nolan movies that even if he does take some political license, he'll try get as much fact into these movies as he can. But I love me historicals, like bring them on. I'd watch them all day, but the Hollywood just doesn't want to do original stories, as Chris has said. And then when an original story that highlights an actual serious issue in the world, like child trafficking, what does the Hollywood elite media do and the studios do? They come out and criticize a movie like this, but then they all praise a movie like Cuties. I mean, what kind of fucking fucked up society are we living in that a movie that's exposing the operations and how child trafficking or human trafficking works is criticized by the Hollywood elites? And I'll tell you why.
It didn't come from the right group of people.
Exactly.
Yeah, but not only that, Charlotte, right? A lot of them are coming out very, very hard on this movie. And it makes me believe in one thing and one thing only. And we already know this, that Hollywood is a cesspit. But they know people that have probably been embroiled in this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of scared people in Hollywood right now. I mean, right, I don't want to bring up his name, but he has been mentioned over the last couple of years. And then apparently there was a BBC report that was taken down from their website, but someone screenshot it first. Now, fact finders will say that it's fake and that it was auto-generated, but I don't know. But as you all know, Tom Hanks is actually living out in Greece now. The excuse that he's made is because obviously it was Trump's America at the time, but he's still in Greece, right? Now, he's one of these actors. There's always, even the comedian Catherine Thomas, what's her name? Catherine something, that American comedian that's over in the UK. That
I don't know,
hates.
but she does my head in.
Yeah, she does my head in as well. But she says that there's a big Hollywood star that they all know is a big P, but nobody says that, right? Now, apparently, there's a photograph of Tom Hanks as well with an anklet bracelet on, like a tracking bracelet, if you've done that and wrong. Now, people have tried to debunk that. I don't know if it's true. Now, I've seen the photographs. I actually have the screenshot of the BBC report as well because I stuck it up on my Twitter account before they took it down when it was Twitter, obviously. So it's up there somewhere still. But bottom line is when Ricky Gervais did that whole monologue in front of them all, right? And said, listen,
face.
Yeah, Tom Hanks' face, right? That's when I got my suspicions. Now, I've dug into this rabbit hole, and let me just say that it's sick. And if he is one of these people, he shouldn't be free. He should be locked up right now. Now, remember, this fella was very vocal on everybody getting the vaccine because him and his missus got COVID when they were in was it Greece or Holland or wherever they were holiday, and they had to, remember, they did the whole thing, quarantine, and then they did updates on their little video blogs and all of this. But I'm telling you now, his name apparently was on that list along with other celebrities. Now, there's even a photograph of the great scientist Stephen Hawking on this island. You've got to ask yourselves, right, why they were all on this island in the first place. They weren't going there for sunshine and a nice little holiday. We know what that island was used for. So I hate to say it, but one of my childhood heroes, another one, but a Hollywood one, could have skeletons in his closet, and I think that's why he's hiding out in Greece, because what people don't realize about Greece is they have no extradition laws with America. So if he was accused of something,
they couldn't get to him, basically.
They can't get to him in Greece, right? So you got, listen, a lot of these actors, right, during the pandemic, legged it, right, when all of this started becoming front and center about what was going on. Remember that Hollywood actress that apparently crashed her car and then she was dead, but then she sat up in her own gurney as the ambulance men were trying to get her into the ambulance and they were shoving her back down, and then she died a few days later, even though her publicist originally said that she would recover and make a full recovery, but she would have burns. But when we actually see her body being taken out, it doesn't look like it has any burns. Now, her and another actress were about to expose, they were doing a documentary or a movie like The Sound of Freedom, and then she died and then gone, dead, right? Your man from, what's his name, Bellington, what's the fella from that band, that Bellington, what's his fucking first name?
Alex.
Is that his name? No.
The one who went to do farming.
What's his name? No, he's American or Canadian. American. Anyway, Chester Bellington, I think is his name. The singer. I think that's his name, Chuck. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Chester or something like that. Anyway, he was also, him and a company that he was working with were also about to reveal a load of people that were involved in this. And then apparently he committed, you know what, right? Loads of people that have come out to try and expose this have ended up either 6 feet under or too scared to speak up. This is why the actor behind this, obviously, you know, put out that video and says, look, if they say that I've did that to myself, it's not true. I'm happy and blah blah blah. He made a point to say, look, I'm not depressed, right? Now, Aston Kutcher and apparently a production crew he's working with are the next people to come out now and expose what's going on in Hollywood. There are some Hollywood actors and actresses that are willing to stick their necks out, right, for this, including the singer Selena Gomez, who supported this movie. Now, I would say, look, and normally I wouldn't say like jump on the bandwagon with these celebrities and all of this, because they're all a bunch of twats at the end of the day. But these celebrities here are the ones that I've mentioned. They really are trying to make a difference and clean up the industry and expose these people. So people like Selena Gomez, you know, what's his fucking face? The actor's Cavill. What's his fucking Caviezel? No, not
Jim Caviezel.
Yeah, him. Jesus. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus Caviezel, that's one.
Yeah, we'll just call him Jesus, right? Jesus Christ, right? We got to be supporting him, right? We got to even, and Mel Gibson was one of the first. Now, what didn't help Mel Gibson, though, was the fact he did come out with that rather anti-Semitic rant, and it didn't do his credibility any justice. And then when we heard the way he was talking to his Ukrainian girlfriend at the time, it wasn't very nice now, right? So that guy does have issues, right? But it doesn't negate the fact that he was one of the first actors in Hollywood to expose this. And look what they did to him. Look what they did to him after that, right? They destroyed his fucking career. Now, he helped them along the way, unfortunately, right? But they destroyed his fucking career. He's only getting back now, but he's still speaking up about, and has always spoke up about, and hasn't stopped speaking up about it. So we should support him as well. We should support them all. Look, some of them are not going to be perfect, and a lot of people are going to have skeletons in their closet. But what's more dangerous right now, child trafficking, human trafficking, or the fact that someone had a rant or made a mistake in life? Because we're all we've all made mistakes in life. None of us are perfect. You know what I mean? Just some of the mistakes are more public than others, unfortunately. And because he is a public persona,
the good thing about this movie making the money it did and the success it was is now it's high profile that if they try any tricks.
Oh, they can't bury this movie now.
That's what I mean. If anything happens to the actors, obviously, fingers crossed, nothing happens. But if anything was to happen, they've been such a high profile hit, and everybody saw the way the media reacted to it. Everybody saw the dismissals and the attacks. So now it would be I think it'd be more dangerous for them to do anything to them than
because it put the public eye, because the public is more aware now, Charlotte. So if something like that did happen, you're right, automatically people would be thinking that. But here's the thing that I found out on YouTube, right? YouTube mightn't realize this, but there's a lot of movies on YouTube, right? You'd call them B movies or maybe C movies. But a lot of these movies, they're conspiracy movies, right? But when you watch these movies, right, and with the message that there's some of these things have already happened. Conspiracy movies that have been up for years predicted everything that's happening today. And now there's a new wave of them that have come out. There's actually a few that deal with the child trafficking aspect and the human, and are seriously, man. The acting, look, it's you can tell that it's made on a low budget. The acting is decent. Sometimes they might actually get a name, not a big name, but someone that you've recognized on maybe a TV show or a movie before, and they'll get them in. But they're very good fucking movies. I never realized that there was actually some great conspiracy movies on YouTube. And, you know, you just write in conspiracy.
I love watching the old horror stuff on YouTube. There's some, like, really B sort of side, cheesy horror stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I tell you, YouTube is not, look, you know, some of the stuff gets under their radar, but so when they do cop on, they'll ban them. Like they can ban all the 9/11 conspiracy videos and the moon landing fake conspiracy. When you Google that, right back in the old day, when you Google that on YouTube, all of them would come up in a list. You wouldn't have to look far, right? You go in now, right? Not a word of a lie. I urge you to do it now. Get your YouTube out. Right, go into your search bar and write in moon conspiracies, right? And you'll notice the difference. They're from NASA approved fucking commentators and shit, right? You have to literally keep going down and scrolling down, right? And I mean for ages. Sometimes you have to go to the filter, right? And go older, right? To even have a chance of getting these. They've buried them in the algorithm. You can't even get them anymore. It's the same with this coof nonsense and the climate boiling nonsense, right? When you watch all of these, they're approved by all of these different. It's so fucking obvious. Get away, brainwash. But here, listen, someone did mention, because we're an hour in now, and I think it's nice to switch it up a little bit. But someone did mention Queen Charlotte. I think it was Nicholas Horton, and as you and PD Rich now are the experts on this, and I love listening to this, so this is where I'm going to shut up now. But I'll put his comment up. So he was talking about the ending that ending to The Witcher was his comment. I'll let you go first, PD Rich, because last week me and Charlotte did monopolize, mostly me though, because I can't shut up. So I'll let you have your say on this ending of The Witcher first, and then we'll get into our expert, Queen Charlotte.
Oh, is this a desert wanderer and then he's suddenly all wounded and living with the elves kind of thing? Oh, geez.
So, as you could tell by Nicholas Horton's reaction, the ending of the show was hashtag, which means he's a lot of
he means what Henry got PD as his ending, I think.
Oh, yeah. What was it again? Sorry, I don't really watch it anymore because I think it's so damn terrible. You know, I'd rather watch
Right, so you haven't seen the ending?
No, I've heard about it though. They don't go far to hear about it. It's everyone's screaming it from every single rooftop. I don't blame them. It's awful from what I hear. But Charlotte's actually seen it, so I'd ask Charlotte.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do then. Yeah, we'll let Charlotte tell us how good or bad this was, and then PD, you can give your reaction because you know about the games and the books and stuff, so you still be able to relate. So that's good. So I'll go on camera for this because I'll just not. By the way, we don't have technical difficulties. I was having a bit of a puff, so I didn't want to do it on camera because apparently YouTube is against that. Even though years ago, I've gone down this rabbit hole of dark YouTube channels, right? And basically, it's YouTube channels that don't exist anymore, right? But people have archived the videos from these YouTube. So it's dark. It's called dark YouTube channels with that dark backgrounds. And I tell you, right, I'm just going to say, right, just before we go on to The Witcher, that I know it's still out there, but it's probably gone a bit more underground. But back when the internet first started and people were uploading videos to the original YouTube, as you know, there wasn't much censorship or anything like that back in the day. YouTube was, it is only when this is what ruined it for people on YouTubers, right? And this series, right, there's 19 volumes of it, but this series gives you a whole rundown of why YouTube is as censored as it is today. And you know what? I don't agree with censorship, right? But after watching this, I was kind of saying to myself, do you know what? Maybe on some aspects there should be some sort of level, just some sort of level of censorships. Because I'll give you a few examples. For example, there was this young kid started doing videos, and at first these videos were he was shy. He was a shy kid, but the videos gave him the confidence, and as the YouTube channel was growing, he was growing in more confidence. And then he hit an age period, and especially in America, where you hit those puberty years and your hormones are all over the place. And then literally the tone of his videos change, right? It goes from being light-hearted, fun videos to more aiming towards, say, he went towards the gun side of it, right?
I think I know which kid you're talking about.
Yeah.
So we start shooting cans first, and then it developed into other stuff. And then he did one final video. I think we've all heard of this. He done one final video. He got all dressed up in the gear, and he went in and he shot up a bloody school, and then ended up taking his own life. But he had a whole manifesto, right? He basically, right, here was people he's literally telling everybody on YouTube back in the day that this is his target, this is what he's going to do, right? And everybody in the maybe someone should ring the FBI and blah, blah, blah. And then people joking about, he doesn't have the balls to do it, right? And there's literally people back in the day egging this person on. And then he goes and he does it, right? Then there's the other YouTuber, female YouTuber, who was murdered by our jealous boyfriend, which was another one, right? Then there was another one that this bloke just came on. This is why they don't allow smoking on YouTube anymore. This fella came on and he smoked himself to death. He ended up getting like throat because he put 20 cigarettes in his mouth and smoked them all in, and people were encouraging him to basically smoke more every time, and they were paying him. And then he announced on his video that he literally had cancer, and then within a couple of months then he died. But while he was dying and rotting away, he was still doing YouTube videos, and everybody was encouraging him, giving him money and encouraging him. This is why there's some level of censorship on YouTube because of these past YouTubers. So you can understand that to a certain extent, but I think YouTube have overextended themselves now. I mean, you can't literally say shit anymore. Like, shit is a bad, you can't say shit anymore, right? By the way, do you remember the stream that I told you that would get limited because we were talking about things that were a bit spicy on YouTube? Well, it got limited.
Thought so.
So, you can talk
yeah.
But at the end of the day, as I said, yes, certain level I can understand because some of the sick YouTubers were out there. And then there's another one now. There's a girl on TikTok right now at the moment. She's actually caused a bit of an international debate because she's anorexic and she's doing videos. So we've gone from Lizzo to now someone who's anorexic, but everybody is outraged and saying we shouldn't be encouraging that, but it's okay to encourage obesity.
Yeah.
Like, see where neither is okay, by the way. Just want to make clear that
there's no middle ground, no. There's no middle ground anymore.
So she does these videos. She even puts makeup on her face sometimes to make herself look like Skeletor. It's actually very sad to see. And again, she stays like this because people on TikTok encourage this. TikTok is like YouTube in the early days. Something needs to happen to TikTok, because I believe that out of all of the platforms, TikTok is doing the most damage to our society right now.
Yeah.
And we were warned about TikTok, by the way, years ago. But anyway, let's get into the meat and juice of the Witcher finale, because as we've done in these past few weeks, which I've been really enjoying learning about the lore of the Witcher through Charlotte and PD Rich's education. But I've obviously found out that the TV show hasn't been living up to the expectations. And of course, the season finale dropped. So Queen Charlotte is going to tell us how good or bad. Now, let's just, if you have been watching, Charlotte hasn't been impressed what's a season 3 overall?
Yeah.
She hasn't been
Moments
impressed
of good.
overall. Moments of good, but a lot of shit. Yeah. So now she's going to tell us. Go ahead.
I will say the scene which they needed to get right, and they actually did a good job, is the fight between Vilgefortz and Geralt. In the book, that's such a pivotal moment because Geralt basically hasn't really come across anybody of a challenge at this point in the book, because he's sort of incredibly good at swords, he's got his powers, he's got his sort of just general aura of being untouchable. And in the book, it's this big moment because he comes across Vilgefortz, and Vilgefortz basically gets him within an inch of his life. Geralt just barely escapes it with his life. And in the show, through some good fight choreography, through Henry, and I don't know the fella who plays Vilgefortz, it's really good. You can see the magic with Vilgefortz, because what his power is, he can basically at will summon a weapon. So while he's fighting Geralt, his staff disappears for a second, which obviously Geralt can't fight that, and then he brings it back at the right point to then get Geralt with it. So it's this quite good fight, and it leaves at the point it should, which is Geralt's on the floor. He's looking incredibly injured. He's just about alive at that point. And they even get the right idea of Vilgefortz playing with Geralt, which is what he does in the book. He even lets slip, when before I was fighting, I wasn't fighting properly. Now I am. So you can see what this individual can do when he actually wants to fight. And he sort of even just teases him a bit and say, I'll see you again. So that's brilliant. So you think, okay, you've got that fight, which is something you really need to get right. But the problem is then you don't see Henry basically till the last episode.
Yeah, disappears.
So, whereas in the book, we know after that fight, he has weeks and weeks of recouping, of getting his strength back, of being with the Dryads.
That's the one.
All of that is gone. It's just the last episode you see him at the Dryads.
Oh, God, it's the Dryads, isn't it? It's the Dryads. The ones that weren't supposed to appear in season 1 appeared in season 1.
Well, no, they did, but the problem was, PD, they didn't do any of the stuff between Geralt and them in season 1.
That's right.
So in the book, it makes sense he'd go there because he's already a friend to them. They know him. He's almost part of the tribe in a sense. But there's no link. And I knew this going in. They hadn't established this link.
God.
And in the show, they still don't. It's like, why is he being allowed to heal there when it's been established? They hate pretty much all humans. They
Come
kill
random
anybody that
stranger,
comes near.
Hillcross.
They even let Dandelion come and see, which is what they do in the book. And it's like I said, it sort of makes sense because if he's a friend of Geralt, he'll give him a bit more leeway. So that's the problem. You don't see any of that recoup. It's literally in the last episode.
Yeah.
And in that episode, when you see Geralt, he's still looking incredibly beat up, incredibly hurt.
Yeah.
Like really on the edge of death. And it's like, so they've not even healed him. And it's just this real, and then you see him gradually start to get better. He meets a really important character he needs to meet. But that's the problem is, so in episode 6, I think is you get the fight, or I can't, it'd be episode 6. Episode 6, you get the fight, and then you don't see him for 2 episodes, and then you get him in the final one.
Yeah, he just appears.
And then you get him a really condensed version of him with the Dryads, which is such a big part of the book. Because, like I said, he's there for weeks. You see him get close to Mila, who's a really important character because she basically leaves the Dryads, which is she's a human who's basically works for them.
Yeah.
And she's not got a home anywhere else, so she's very loyal to them. So it makes sense in the book that she's had weeks and weeks and weeks with Geralt. She's got to know him. So that's why she then leaves with him.
Yeah.
Whereas in the show, it's 1 episode and there's some nice little exchanges, but it's a condensed, cut down version again.
Exactly, yeah.
And then
is that because of budget, Charlotte, or do you think it's just pure laziness because they don't understand the source material?
Yeah, they're idiots. Okay. We're idiots. There you go.
Well, no,
that was a straight answer.
No, because in season 1, they didn't adapt any of the stuff with Geralt and Ciri when they first met in the books. And even the showrunner came out afterwards and was like, yeah, we probably should have put that in the season. In the books, Geralt, once again, he's in Brooklyn Forest. He's working with the Dryads. He comes across Ciri because she's running at this point from a suitor she doesn't like. And she's got herself trapped in the forest. She's about to get eaten by a creature. And Geralt swoops in and saves her. That's what happens in the book. And then he basically, once again, through an extended amount of time, he's with her in the forest. He's her protector. And that's when they start to get this bond, this father-daughter bond, which obviously then gets more and more built on. Because also what he does is when he gets her to the Dryads in the book, the Dryads want to turn her into one of them, so she wouldn't be human. And he stops them from turning her. So that's another point then. He steps in and protects her. So it's this real lovely development. And none of that was in season 1. Literally in season 1, they meet each other in the last episode, in the last scene. So this is what I mean. They have these opportunities from very clear character development bits of the book that they just don't want to adapt.
Exactly.
So the last bit, and the problem is, in the press, Lauren was saying, "Oh, it's this heroic send-off for Henry. It's actually really fitting in hindsight, and it's brilliant. It really is this lovely send-off to his version of Geralt." Here's what happens. So he eventually gets himself back to a good enough shape to fight, and he leaves with Dandelion and Mila. And then later on, that's when he starts to get his crew, his little troop together to get Ciri. And as they're leaving the forest, they just come across some random Nilfgaardians that we've never seen before. They just come across them by happenstance.
Yeah, plastic armor.
And then Geralt decides to wipe them out. And that's been framed by the showrunner as look, he's taken this proper action. He's not neutral anymore. He's actually fighting Nilfgaard. Here's the problem. There's been plenty of other times in your show, let alone in the books, where he has decided, I'm not going to be neutral. I'm going to fight. I'm going to protect something, or I'm going to protect someone. He's had, in season 1, he literally just escapes the destruction of Sintra, which is where Ciri comes from. So he's just escaped from there. He's just gotten out of a city being burned and ransacked and attacked. And he comes across some random like merchant type with like who's obviously going home for like from day's work. Doesn't know him, doesn't have a clue who he is, but he sees that he's being attacked by these little creatures. What are they? I can't remember what the creature is. They're like they're not powerful, but there's a lot of them, and they appear where there's dead. So this fella's like near where there's been a load of people killed, and he gets jumped by them. Basically, he gets attacked by them, and Geralt steps in and saves him. He gets all the drowners. I think they might be actually.
Yeah. Is that after he turns out the meet with Mossart?
Well, they're these weird little like bold humanoid, horrible golem-looking things.
Oh yes, that's well after Mossart.
Yeah, but he saves this guy, and also he literally is fighting them. He tells the peddler to run because you can't fight, and he almost gets killed because they gang up on him, and they have poison in their bite, so he gets bitten really badly.
Yeah.
So isn't that heroic? Isn't that?
That's what the peddler takes him on in the end.
Isn't that a pretty heroic act? He's just a random peddler, and you just.
Yeah, the peddler shoves on the back of his cart and takes him where he's going. Yeah.
So that happens in your first season, but him just coming across some random soldiers who he just decides, oh, I'm going to wipe them out because they're Nilfgaard.
It's just. It's so not Geralt of Rivia.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, PD, with this
character? He doesn't do that kind of stuff until The Witcher 3, because it gets caught in the middle of the war.
Yeah, because he tries to not.
Oh, Charlotte, we lost you a second.
At that point.
There you go. Yeah.
But that's the problem. They're trying to phrase it as, look, he's not neutral anymore. He's never been neutral.
No, he's his own army.
The whole point of Geralt is he pretends to not care. He pretends to not pick sides, but he always gets involved. He always picks sides. He just characters even call him out on it. He's a
mysterious stranger. That's what he is. We're not getting caught in everyone else's problems. Yeah.
Yeah, and multiple times he gets called out. Oh, Mister, I don't care. Yes, you do. You always care. You always get yourself in like wrapped up in other people's problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're trying to frame it like they're trying to say, oh look, he's being this, and it's like you don't understand the character then because it's not neutrality with Geralt. The difference is he finally has a real care in Ciri, so he's actually willing to get involved finally in the sort of grander scheme of things because he's got a daughter he loves and he wants to protect.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing they do before the Geralt stuff, which is, right, PD, if I said to you, the Lodge of Sorceresses, who's that major to do with? Who's the power person there? Whose storyline is it?
It's Owl Lady, isn't it? What's her name? Philippa.
Yep. So she's a mage who's like in the books and the show. She's part of Redanian sort of secret service.
Yeah.
She's the one who I said works with Dijkstra in the show.
Big old Dijkstra, yeah.
And in the book, basically, when the major sort of mage circles start to fall apart because of infighting, because of everything else, she makes her own little secret group, which is the Lodge.
The Lodge. That's the one.
It's all women, because she makes a point that she doesn't trust blokes, because in her words, and this is in the book and in the games, and it makes sense. She basically says, "Look at what they've already done. They've caused havoc. They've caused uproar. I'm just going to have a group of women because that's what I trust better now."
Yeah.
So that's what she does, and that it's her sort of, like I said, it's her splinter group, which then later on is a major thing that's trying to get hold of Ciri. The Lodge wants Ciri because if they can get her power or marry her off to some king they control, because that's what magic folk do in this world, they control kingdoms through getting close to kings and queens and everything, then they can control a kingdom. It's so Ciri's a pawn. She's a very powerful pawn, basically.
That's the one.
Lodge. And Philippa's the head of that. And she doesn't care if that puts Ciri in danger. She just wants her for her power.
Yeah.
So that's what the Lodge is. That's what Philippa is. In the show, they've got Yennefer starting it.
Oh, God.
So once again, another character storyline has been given to Yennefer. And more to do with plot reasons now why this is an issue. If the Lodge, or a sort of what I think they'll try and get away with, is saying, "Oh, this is an early version. This isn't the actual Lodge yet."
Proto-Lodge, yeah.
You've got all the known members from the books and the games in this group in your show, and they're all women.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they even use the term Lodge. It's the Lodge of, it's the same thing. And Philippa's in it, but it's clearly Yennefer heading it in the show.
This really is an alternate universe, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, but the more story reason why this is really stupid. What did I say? The Lodge what is after?
Ciri.
And why would Yennefer be after her own daughter, the girl she sees as her daughter?
Yeah, exactly.
Why would she put her own
makes no sense
flesh and blood in a sense? Because she can't have kids, so Ciri's her surrogate. That's the whole point. Why would she put her in danger like the Lodge does? Why would she have to manipulate to get Ciri under control like the Lodge does?
Yeah, because they did it in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, some of this is so clearly trying to be Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They did it in Game of Thrones with Khaleesi. Do you remember her brother wanted to, sell her off to Drogo, and then it obviously ended badly for him. But there seems to be, as you've been explaining, it's over the last couple of weeks that we've been doing this, seems very kind of rip-offy of Game of Thrones in some places, like, just saying.
Well, no, but like I said, the more thing is, you're screwing storylines here. Because when Ciri's now in that point of her life where she's free, in a sense, she's not got the protection of Geralt and Yennefer anymore. So this is what happens. Different factions start to vie for her. They start to fight for her. They try to get hold of her. The Lodge is a big one. Because like I said, they know better than anybody what powerful magic she has. They know what her blood is. They know she's elder blood, which is like super, super blood that she's full of power. It's the best way I can describe it.
Ancient elven blood. Eldar.
So what's Philippa going to have now as storylines? Because this is a major part of her character in the book.
She gets blamed for Yennefer's mistakes.
Because also, I know the games are different, but this show is also at times is clearly taking what it wants from the games.
Yeah.
In the games, what Philippa does as the head of the Lodge, that's what gets Radovich furious with her, because she tries to get Radovich killed in the games. She tries to, like I said, sorceresses in this world majority of them are greedy. They want power. They want to either be next to a king and control that king, or take that king out and be the ruler themselves. That's how majority of them look. So in the games, Philippa tries to take Radovich out. But you know the saying, if you go for the king, you have to kill him. She doesn't. So then he punishes her quite vividly and horribly. So that then connects Radovich with Philippa because of the lodge, because of her power plays.
Mm.
So can you see how the way Starkovsky's world works is an event happens and then there's repercussions from that event. He does cause and effect because he's not bothered with a... Do you know how like Lord of the Rings is so at times focused on just the plot stuff and the world stuff and the characters are sort of there but they're not the focus? Starkovsky's the opposite. He doesn't care for his world at times in the best sense. He doesn't care about world building. He cares about his characters and how they affect each other and how their actions have repercussions for other people. So if you take away these characters having certain plot points or certain roles, then everything starts to come apart. And that's what they're doing by picking and choosing what story beats and what character beats they actually want to follow. So,
Yeah.
But like I said, the bigger thing is this was Henry's last bit of that we saw him with Geralt, and this is what's got people angry, that he did get sidelined because there was so many other stuff they wanted to show, and it should have been a lot more of him. And the fact that his heroic stand is just, let's just take out some random people that we don't know.
But that's the thing, that people not, like, you're saying people are outraged. I mean, come on. Did people not expect this if the show has been this bad in the first place? You mean to tell me that nobody expected that the finale and Henry would be sidelined? Come on, of course he was going to be always sidelined. He spoke up and told them that they were shit. He told them that they were shit writers. They got rid of him and then they sidelined. Of course they were going to do that. Of course they were going to do that. He came out and told them that you weren't sticking to the source material. So I don't know why people... I'm actually serious. I don't know why people are outraged. Of course they were going to treat him like that. Hollywood treats him like shit all the time.
No, to be fair, Noel, nobody expected him to get a good final, whatever it was. When she started to talk, this is a woman who lies through her backside. I'll say it. She says plenty of stuff in interviews that never happen. She always promises stuff and they never happen.
Like a politician. They promise you the moon and the stars and they never deliver.
Oh no, she'll do the same thing if they eventually get to season 4. She'll talk it up and it will not be what she says. But I think the anger...
It's Munchausen's or something, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I think the anger is more on behalf of Henry. Almost, I feel like, because he is not the type to out loud obviously talk about this. He still hasn't, to this day, said what happened behind the scenes for him to leave. And I don't think he ever will, because he's a gentleman. He doesn't like to talk. So because he's been very dignified and not said anything, I think the fans are almost thinking we have to show at least we're not happy with his treatment, because we know Henry, being the gentleman, won't say anything.
Yeah.
So why they don't like him in Hollywood? Because he doesn't play the games like the rest of them. He just gets on with work.
Yeah.
So what would you rate the season finale out of 10? And
I'll, for the second half, I'll say the Filga fight was good. Some of the stuff was nice with Geralt in the forest. Like, so second half, I'll probably give it... I'll do out of 5. Probably give it a 2 out of 5. And I'm probably being way too generous. But
it sounds horrific. I mean, if I invested all that time in that show like I did with Lost years ago,
Oh,
and then
God
the ending
lost,
was a bit
yeah.
of a cop out. I just fucking freaked. I did. I never trust TV shows anymore now. I'm very particular what I watch because I don't want to be let down. That's why when Game of Thrones came along, it was a breath of fresh air, and then they obviously let us down again. This is why, like, House of the Dragon, yeah, it's great, and we all know it's great. But there's gonna be a time where they're gonna let us down, and they will let us down. Trust me, they're not going to be able to keep this momentum up. It's impossible, right? And
Yeah.
they'll fuck it up because they're incapable of sticking to what they need to stick to. I hope I'm wrong.
Can't stick the landing, yeah.
I really do hope I'm wrong. So far, I have been wrong. So far, they've proven us all that they can still make decent TV shows, HBO. Let's see if they can keep it up, right? But, you know, they're few and far between. But, yeah, look, it's why I don't really, even with House of the Dragon, like, you know, I'm not that invested. I'll wait until the season comes out fully and then I'll decide whether I'm going to watch it or not because I just don't want to waste the time and energy on something that's going to end up letting me down. And in fairness, you know, a lot of people have made this point. It will lead towards Game of Thrones. Remember that this will lead to Game of Thrones. And look how that ended. Unless they fix that last season, you know, then forget about it. I mean, Cheryl loves it. She loves that ending.
Oh, Game of Thrones?
Yeah. You know, she doesn't have good taste. This is a woman that loves Grease too, by the way. So you know, we don't take our opinions seriously in this house, especially someone that likes Grease too.
Well, I like Highlander
and
too. I the special edition.
Unknown 289 brought that up yesterday. We were talking about the sequels. Yeah. In a parallel universe, yeah. When people like shit movies over good movies. No one likes Grease too. Yes, Cheryl absolutely adores that movie, Gabby. I shit you not. She's tried to get me to watch it several occasions. I just won't watch it. Like she can't.
I've seen it.
Look, it's a horrible movie.
Oh,
the first movie will always be. Right, tell me more. Yeah, the first one is deadly. Right.
The problem is, PD, it doesn't work as well when you've got the bloke being like the goody Two Shoes character, and then the woman's like they flipped it basically. So he's a Brit actually. I can't think of his name who plays the guy in it. Like he's the new kid who comes to school. He's all goody, and then he comes across Michelle Pfeiffer, who's like the sexy bad girl.
Oh, I see.
Okay, love. Yeah, it's not a cinematic masterpiece and never will be one. Anyway, we will wrap it up there, guys. An hour and a half. But now that we've no more Witcher talk, next week we'll have to change it up a bit. But we did do fine today. We had loads of stuff to talk about, actually. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, the guys feature on other channels, mod on other channels as well. So we will do channel shout outs. But I just want to give a couple of YouTubers I mentioned myself. So Gabby guys in the chat there, go and subscribe to his channel. And Scottish Davers and Friends Wrestle with Pop Culture. Daniel is doing some wrestling streams there, and I think he
Saturday, I think he's got
Saturday with Sean. Yeah, he's got one with Sean. So look out for that from the Nerdaholics. And of course, you can catch me here on Friday. I'll be back on Friday, where we will be covering all of the Hollywood nonsense. We have a member stream as well, so come and see me for me rant about the Lion King.
Yeah.
They must have actually announced that today then, because I didn't even know they were doing that.
Oh yeah, it's a couple of days ago.
It's been a couple of days ago. I have the post ready to go. It's been gone a couple of days. This is why Disney is dead. I mean, if you're gonna make Right, so you made an animation movie which turned out to be one of the greatest animation movies of all time in The Lion King. Then a few years later, when you get into this live action buzz, you decide to do a live action version, which apparently is not as bad as other live action versions that you have done. But still, you did it. But now you have decided that that live action version deserves an animated remake. And that's why, and this is why you wonder why Hollywood is dying. You deserve it. Disney, the mouse. I'm sorry, Mr. Mouse, Mickey, but your time is all right. Bye bye.
Yeah.
It was nice knowing you for me life. You made some of the best movies that I've enjoyed growing up as a kid, but you're done. Bye bye. I'm sorry, but it's game over. And we will shed a bit of it here, but we'll also celebrate as well because you're a toxic brand that indoctrinates our kids and you deserve everything that's coming your way. So come and join me on Friday where we'll be talking about Disney and all the other nonsense shite that's going on in Hollywood and all the moany actors and actresses that are having a bitch this week. We will cover that on Friday. You will get a sneak peek on the member stream on Friday as well. So if you want to come and join me for that, if you're a member, don't forget Fridays we do a preview stream where I'll be bitching about The Lion King, the cheek of these Hollywood, the cheek of Disney. Think they can fill their audience like that, but they'll do it anyway because they don't give a shit. So catch me here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the season is starting up now. So Manchester United is on now. United are in the Champions League, so I'll make this announcement now.
Yeah.
But I think we start Champions League games in September. So in September, we're either playing on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, right? So we're going to have to figure something out then because I either have to move the days where it doesn't clash with things that you guys do. But when it comes to that, we'll deal with it when it comes to that. But I will be over on Noel the Red Devil and I will be covering everything Manchester United. I will be doing the Premier League prediction, who I think is going to be in top four, who I think is going to get relegated and finishing all those important European spots. And then, of course, we have our first match on Monday, which doesn't actually, clash with anything that we do here this week. So we're grand. Most of our matches be on Saturday and Sunday, so it'll be grand. It's only midweek Champions League games where we'll have a bit of an issue. That's it. And the Carabao Cup games, which normally on Thursday, so we'll probably be okay there. But we'll figure it out, right, is what I'm trying to say. But if you like your football and you want to hear a bit of football talk during the season, go over there, Noel the Red Devil, subscribe to me. I'm on 47 subscribers. Get me up to 50. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. So I'll hand you over. Oh, yeah, and I do a bit of gaming on the Irish Geek, but I haven't done that in a while. But I will get back to it when I get everything up and running properly. We're obviously starting to move on here now. I want to establish the other channel as well, and then we're all good. So, yeah, go and subscribe to the 3 channels. Forget about Rumble for the moment. As I said, working behind the scenes, start a new thing in the autumn. Bring on some Irish guests. Talk about the state of the country, what's going on in their country, because the same problems that Ireland's having, the rest of Europe and stuff like that. And then we'll talk to the people that are frontline centre, that are speaking up against the Irish government and their policies and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll be able to launch that in the autumn. But I'll leave it there for now, and I'll hand you over to Queen Charlotte, who's going to do her channel shout-outs. And then PD is already putting channels in there. Go and check them all out. Peace out. Go ahead.
So you'll catch me on Type 40 from the Spacebook. And that's a live stream, which we're currently on a little mini break. We'll be back in a couple of weeks or maybe a bit longer, depending on when people can come back from holidays and stuff, where we talk about the current Doctor Who stuff. With it being the 60th, we've got some special shows planned looking over the history. So we've got a unit 1 at some point. We've got some doctors' birthdays, which we're going to just looking at those doctors. And then you'll catch me on the podcast as well, Type 40 podcast. And that is if and when Dan needs me on them. And you'll catch me On Daniel's channel, we're going to go back to soon some chill streams. So that's Scottish Dad, Russ and Friends, Wrestle Pop Culture. And you'll catch me here on Wednesdays.
Fantastic. And that channel is still a mouthful, Daniel. Jesus Christ, man. A lot of words. Anyway, go and subscribe to his channel because he will be doing, and he's doing different content there as well. He's mixing it up and he's smashing it out of the park. And of course, check out Dan's channels as well. Now we got the man himself, PD Rich, the company man, to give his YouTube
I can change that if you want. It's all right. It doesn't cost you anything.
No, it's grand. It's all right. Leave it as the company man. I mean, you probably just put something else.
It's nice to go back to the original one for a bit.
Yeah. Not much has irked me at the moment. Apart from that's why I've got Disney's Titanic down instead. Anyway.
Oh yeah, Charlotte is the only one that doesn't have a label.
I can never think of a nice one that's creative.
Yeah.
I just put host Noel, just so as if anybody doesn't know, my name is Noel and I am the host of this channel.
That's why I put
I was going to call myself Pinocchio, but you know,
I was going to put Disney's Titanic Man, and I just thought, I'll put the one below it instead this time. Yeah. Anyway, you can find me on Rabbi's channel when I'm not too busy running around like a headless chicken. And sometimes you can find me on Dan's if he needs a special guest with a blue. So, yep, find me there. Oh, and Jack Main, go subscribe to Jack as well. He's getting up.
Fantastic. Yeah, go and check out Jack's channel as well. And we will leave it there for now, folks. But I want to thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate the company. And we will see you here next week, and we'll see if we could fit in, you know, with all the madness that's going on, if we could fit in another stream somewhere else if the guys have time, and we'll try to do something different fights, because I think it'd be nice to do another stream with you two. Anyway, I always do enjoy it, because we used to do, if you think about it, we've gone from doing 3 streams together to just the one. You know, because we used to do Classic Who, New Who, and then we'd come on and do the Tarda Zone talk. So, yeah, it'd be nice to, we'll see, right? I'm not promising that yet. You know, obviously the guys are busy now as well, doing their bits and bobs, and so am I with all the other stuff. So, if it's viable, we'll do it, right? So, we'll just we'll let you know, is what I'm trying to say.
We'll have a chat and see what happens.
Yeah. We'll have a chat, and then I'll just say to them, listen, you're doing it, then they'll agree, and then we'll just come up with a day, then a time.
And I call my agent.
He needs to call his agent, but what he doesn't realise is I've already buried his agent out the back garden.
Oh, that's where they've gone missing. Oh, well, have to get another one.
That's why they're not returning your calls, Peter.
Yeah. Never do anyway.
I already sorted out, man. I did me patriotic duty. You know, can't help
that's why
anybody.
I can't get a job. They're all dying. Oh, that makes sense. I thought it was just Hollywood collapsing.
Anyway, just one more last thing to bring is obviously Gary and the Neurotic team are going to be in London for their meetup. And again, on Friday, I'll give you obviously the details again, but I just wanted to remind people. Yeah, just wanted to remind people anyway. It's sold out apparently.
Yeah. Yes,
so
Gary,
I don't know.
More tickets.
Yeah, so are you gonna do another one or what? And when are you coming to Ireland? Right,
location, Gary.
Just one more thing before I leave and sign off for the night. What is the day, right? So UK have Comic Cons, they're great. Dublin does a Comic Con, and it's like they've decided to like get the legal version of every actor that you can think of and every shy person that nobody gives a crap about and stuff them in. What is our problem with coming to Dublin, man? Where's all these elite? It's same with our chat shows, man. They can never get a huge Hollywood star on. It's once in a while. Like what? You all say you love Ireland. So come over here. You know, and Gary as well, like, man, you know, I don't know if you have many Irish fans, but you could test the water. I mean, you could put a limited amount of tickets out and see what happens. I'm pretty sure myself and other Irish YouTubers would gladly, support the event and give it as much promotion as we could. But I'd love to see them come to Ireland. I feel left out, man. All you guys in the UK get to see all the and me. I'm over here all by myself. It's not fair. No, but seriously, sorties are shit out, man. Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, right? You've got the conference centre, beautiful fucking place, loads of glass and lights on it. You like all that modern shit, right? Big conference rooms, right? You got a small one as well. You could hold an event in there, man. Right? Yeah. It'd be great. Come to Dublin. Back out for all you actors and actresses out there, the Gina Caranos and all of these other gobshites. Come over here. Stop it. I will start crying. I know. It's sad. Nobody likes coming to Dublin. Man, seriously, man. We get Eminem here once, maybe every 10 fucking years or something.
Yeah.
Like,
you got Noel, you got Dave Cullen, you got Ninja.
Where we go, right? You go to fucking Belfast, man. Right? They always seem to do 2 or 3 dates in Belfast to come to Dublin. It's 1 date to get out of here. It's like gone. Gone, man. Anyway. Since when did Noel work for Ireland's tourist board? Ireland's tourist.
Someone's got to do it now.
Someone's got to do it. Yeah, here, come on over here, celebrities. Except you keep Bob Geldof, right? Just want Bono as well. You can have Bono. Anyway, no, but seriously, get your shit together, all you American and UK actors. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you, but this country is lovely. Like, I know, like, tourists are getting beaten up and all, but here's a celebrity. So you won't see that shit. We cover that shit up. Like, so just come over, right?
That's happening in some alley that you'll never see.
Yeah, it's grand. That's behind closed doors. And then when we do have someone important over, we make sure we move the homeless away from O'Connell Bridge and all the other iconic bridges so you don't see that shit. Right? We stuff them somewhere else. Here's a free meal. Just get out off the bridge, will you? Anyway, there you go. That's the real Irish tourism right there. No wonder you don't come here. I don't blame you.
After you mug the tourists, you should charge them for it and say it's part of the experience.
Authentic Irish experience. You get mugged.
Beaten up
or you get put in a coma, which has happened. We shouldn't be laughing or joking about because it is serious, but that's how fucked up it is. But no, seriously, all joking aside, they don't like coming here for some weird reason, it's not very often we'll get a megastar coming here. I mean, I think the biggest star we've ever had here, and to me is the biggest star, but they're dead now, is Michael Jackson. Like, he did Dublin and Cork when he did his world tour, and he came here, and my auntie went to see him, and he was absolutely sensational, according to her. Yeah. So there you go. That's it, really. Yeah. Or if we do get celebrities over here, they buy all their land up. Pretend to be Irish. Oh, look at me. I've got an Irish castle. I'm Irish. No, you're not. You're American. You were born in America. You're still American. Shut the fuck up. I don't care if you own a big fucking castle in Ireland. You're not Irish. Another thing that annoys me. Anyway, I'm going now. See you later. Have a good weekend. Well, I will see you on Friday. But if I don't see you, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, because apparently there's another coof variant out there that you want to scare mongers with. Men's are going to stop. Iris. This one is called Iris. COVID-19, and the name of it is Iris.
Like a hurricane,
right? And it's another variant, and apparently, it's everywhere. Just like the cold and the flu has different variants. Who gives a fuck? Right. Yeah, exactly. Bottom line is that the scaremongering is not working anymore. Just like with the climate boiling, because it's absolutely freezing out there, right? And it's been raining all summer. So, take your con jobs and shove them where the sun don't shine. Nobody's buying the fear-mongering anymore. The British people, the Irish people, and the people around Europe will not ever go into another lockdown again. It will never happen. You can try and enforce it all you want. We've had enough. We're not going into another lockdown. Even the ones that were stringent about it have even said another lockdown is pointless. We're not going into another one. So you can stop with the scaremongering saying there's variants this and variants that. It happens with all viruses. We're not tick. Just because you were able to dupe a certain amount of the population, right, and scaremonger them into doing whatever, right, the rest of us aren't fucking stupid, right? And some get it, we're forced to take because of their jobs and all of that, and you understand that. And those companies eventually, I hope there'll be lawsuits galore, right? I don't believe that anybody should have been forced, but there was a lot of fear as well, and it was fucking wrong, right? I'm still here so far, touch wood, and I haven't gotten anything. No vote, no jab, no nothing, no boosters, no nothing, right? My wife got everything, right? So I'm living in a house, and she's living with someone that both of us are different, right? I don't judge her. She doesn't judge me, right? We go out together and we do stuff together, right? Not as often as we should because I'm still a bit weird when it goes around being around people because that's what the pandemic did for me. It kind of affected me up. I used to be a person that could walk into any room and do what I'm doing now and talk. I wouldn't be shy about that. I literally went out with the wife a couple of weeks ago and had a panic attack because I was out with loads of people. Couldn't hack it. That's what the pandemic has done to me, right? That's it. But so that's a bit, bit loony. Everybody's gone through that loony spells. But look, this fear mongering, don't try it again, right? Because you sent a lot of people to their graves because he's a fear mongering, right? And it's disgraceful. Just let people live their lives, right? We know COVID is out there now, and it's never going away. And whoever's responsible for it, we'll get down to the bottom of it eventually, but most of us know where that originated from and why it was done, right? At the end of the day, it was another form of control. He's got it. He's won. He's actually did win. If you look at it, they won. This is what they wanted, right? Now Bill Gates, and he's need to be listening to that man because he's already telling you that there's another pandemic on the way. He's been speaking up about it the last couple of months.
One of the idiocracy,
right? Now, apparently, it's this new disease called Disease X. Right?
It's called Twitter.
It's called
It
X.
sounds like a bad comic book now.
Yeah.
Right? But this new disease X now. But this is what this is all being about. The climate change nonsense is to control the food supply. You ask why? Well, carbon is actually very important when it comes to growing our food. We shouldn't actually be reducing carbon whatsoever. If you actually know your science and you actually listen to the proper climate experts, all of this is going to stop crops from growing. Again, it's the elites trying to control the food. They control the food that we eat. Why do you think Bill Gates is creating all of these, alternative free, meat free products that apparently is causing cancers in people? Everything that they're doing is to control us. Right? They want to control the food supply. They've wanted to control the food supply for fucking decades. Now they have found a way to actually do it now. Right? So this is why people need to wise up to this scam that's coming out from Greta and all these other gobshites of reducing carbon. Right? Because once we do and we get it down to the levels that they want, they've played either they're stupid and they don't realize they're being played, or they're part of what this global elite plan, right? But I suspect that people like Greta are brainwashed and they're being used. And again, there was a very interesting thing. She was being questioned by a committee, and as soon as she couldn't answer a question, she'd look at her helper or the one that was sitting beside her, and then she would answer the question. But one of the senators brought up the fact about China and India being the biggest polluters and stuff, putting all of this toxic shit in the air. And then I think the senator suggested, well, why aren't you saying? And then she looked at her helper and said, oh, you're getting away from what we were talking about. We're talking about here and blah. No, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Unless she reads a script, she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's not a climate expert, let alone me, but I know more about the climate and how it works than she does. Trust me, everything that they're doing and they're telling us to do, right? It's not just about money, right? Once they control the food, and you're seeing with the digital currency now, once they control money and the food, right, and our medicine, which they've done, right? So they control their medicine now. They've scared everybody, right? This is what so they control the medicine, right? Now they're telling us, the climate. So they're going to end up controlling the food, right? And they control everything else that we do. This is what this has all been about. The digital currency, by the way, the talk and the chatter for that is getting louder and louder.
Oh, we heard what's happening in Austria about that.
Countries, even people are injecting themselves now. They're getting chips implanted now into their arms, and they're able to scan, right? But it's not just a chip so you can pay for your food. Remember, those digital banks now will come out with things like, well, we're going to tell you how much you're only allowed to spend a day. And this is the thing about digital currency, right? Whereas if you have the cash the way we have it now, they can't control it, because you can still take all your money out of the bank, can't you, and spend it the way you want. But as soon as it's digital currency, they can control, like they do in China. They use digital currency in some places in China. They have the self-ID, they have the cameras, the credit score. That's where we're heading, the 15-minute cities, all 15-minute town, all of that. That's all part of the plan. It's all part of control. So people need to wise up and wake up, what's going on around them, because all of this alien and UFO shit is a big distraction to all of this stuff that actually really matters. The Ukrainian war, the thing that's a distraction to everything that's happening. They're passing all of these bits of legislation all around the world to enact these digital banks, and nobody's paying attention because they're distracting us with all this other stuff. You need to wake up. I reckon, in about 5 to 6 years, if we don't put a stop to this, cash will be gone. It'll be all digital, and they'll control everything that you spend. They'll know what you'll spend it on, right? So if you have a porn habit, right, or you watch whatever movie, I'm not talking about adult movie, I'll talk about whatever, they'll be able to have a detailed dossier of what your sexual habits are, what your eating habits are, what type of movies you're into.
No, did you hear about Austria? They're having put into their charter that not to get rid of cash.
Yeah, all countries should have that. But the European Union is pushing for it, and they will push for it. And this is why Gobby says it is time for a revolution. You're right. For Ireland especially, we need to get out of Europe and did what you did. But then on top of that, then a lot of the governments are the WEF shills, and we need to get them out as well. Look at the Italian Prime Minister. She flipped straight away. As soon as she won the election, she promised that she'd sort out immigration. Right? So what happens when she gets in?
We need immigrants,
She flipped, and she said we need them now. Right? She flipped because that was this is their new plan, by the way. Be very careful and wise who you vote for so-called right-wing groups, right, or right-wing parties, or national parties, as used to be called before they were called right-wing. Anybody that believed in Britain or believed in Ireland, they were national parties, right? But watch them, because some of these are fake. They pretend to get your vote, but they're the same as the other shills that are already in power. So be careful who you vote for, because at the end of the day, as Gobby says, that's what it is. They want the power, and now that she's flipped now, she's being promised a shitload of money from the European Union, and that's what it's down to at the end of the day. It's corruption at the highest level.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've said enough. I've went over. We were leaving a half an hour ago. But there you go. They're all lawyers. You're right, Gobby. They're all lawyers. But don't worry. The revolution is coming, because we've had enough of this bullshit. But anyway, good night. Enjoy our evening. I'm off now to get some lovely food, I think. Yes, I am. I'm going to have some tea, because I had me HelloFresh and I'm starving. So I'm going to have something lovely. I'm actually getting sick of that shit, but it's still, I'm losing weight, so I have to keep it up. But it's getting a pain in me hole. But I'm loving the meals I'm cooking, I can't lie. Anyway.
See you later.